Creepy cryptids that live in the water. Hey everyone, it's Alexa and welcome back to another video. We know about Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, and the Chupacabra, but today let's talk about the cryptids that love the seas, lakes, and swamps. These are the cryptids that can easily conceal themselves in the dark depths of the water. Who knows, if you look deep enough, you might just catch one. But before we get into today's video, make sure that you're subscribed and ring the bell so that you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The Loch Ness Monster. Let's start with an easy one. The body of water known as Loch Ness is in the Scottish Highlands. The term Loch Ness Monster did not become popular until 1933 after Alex Campbell, a water bailiff and a part-time journalist, coined the phrase. However, sightings of Nessie go way back, as far as 565. During the 1930s, there was a massive resurgence of sightings. That can be attributed to the fact that cameras were much more accessible by this point in history. The first photo of Nessie's head and neck were supposedly taken in 1934 by Robert Kenneth Wilson. In the following years, more and more photos speculated to be of Nessie were published. The biggest lizard. Did the buru ever exist? Unlike creatures like fairies, goblins, and wood nymphs, it's a lot more challenging to say if buru was real or not. Supposedly, buru lived in Zero Valley, India. People don't know when it existed precisely, just that it was sometime in the past. The first Westerner that heard of the buru was Austrian ethnologist Professor Christopher von Führer-Heimendorf. Locals say by this time, buru was already extinct. Buru was a giant monitor lizard. Think like a Komodo dragon. Legends also compare buru to a crocodile. On the other hand, famous cryptozoologist Carl Schuker said that buru was more like a giant lungfish, a long, eel-like fish that also breathes air. Terror of the Australian swamps. Australian Aboriginal mythology describes the Bunyip as a large beast with walrus tusks, a horsetail, crocodile head, and a face like a dog. Sometimes it has flippers, other times it has a duckbill. Aboriginals consider the Bunyip an evil entity. The Bunyip resides in swamps, creeks, waterholes, and riverbeds. Australians say the Bunyip can be found in these waterbeds all over the continent. When European settlers arrived in the 19th century, many reported seeing a similar, strange creature in freshwater areas too. The killer of elephants. The Emela Ntuka lurks in Lake Mweru, the Kafu swamps, and other marshes and rivers in the Congo. Emela Ntuka has sturdy, thick legs with a prominent white horn protruding from its forehead. Its size is said to be huge. Think of something like the combination of a rhinoceros, elephant, and dinosaur. Some people refer to the semi-aquatic creature as the killer of elephants. Although it likes to eat plants, it will demolish anything if it becomes angry, even big animals. Many cryptozoologists believe this creature could have been a primordial rhino or a surviving dinosaur. The Altamaha River Monster. The Altamaha River cuts through the middle of the state of Georgia. It flows for 137 miles towards the Atlantic Ocean. During the 19th century, it was a heavily used route of commerce between Georgia and the coast, which means a lot of people traveled along the river once upon a time. Georgia folklore speaks of a legendary creature known as the Alti, the river monster that inhabits the many small streams and haunts the abandoned rice fields. There aren't too many details of its appearance, though some think the alligator is probably what people long ago were seeing in the waters. The Serpent of Bear Lake. Bear Lake is a freshwater lake between the boundaries of Utah and Idaho. It measures 109 square miles. Sometimes referred to as the Caribbean of the Rockies for its iridescent blue color, it makes sense that humans throughout hundreds of years have long revered this place. The lake itself is 250,000 years old and possibly is home to a serpent-like monster. Witnesses say the Bear Lake monster has a 30-foot undulating body with legs that measure 18 inches long. It looks a lot like the hybrid of a walrus, cow, otter, and crocodile? The human octopus. When you try to envision a human with tentacles, it's not a very pleasant image to have, at least not for, most of us. That vision, however, accurately describes what our next cryptid looks like. The Akarokamui is a giant, part octopus, part human being that hides in the depths of Funka Bay in Hokkaido, Japan. People have also claimed they spotted Akarokamui near Korea and Taiwan. Ainu folklore states that the octo-person possesses the ability to self-amputate and regenerate their limbs. Canvey Island Monster. Canvey Island sits on the Thames estuary outside of Essex, England. It has a small population of 38,000 people and an area of 7 miles. This small town is also home to a tiny monster named the Canvey Island Monster. It's one of the smaller cryptids on this list. Its carcass washed onto the shores of the island in 1953 and has been famous ever since. It measured 2.4 feet long. A second carcass washed ashore a year later. This one was slightly larger at 3.9 feet. The monster monster also had feet-like extremities. Experts dismiss it as some anglerfish, meaning it had fins, not feet. The legend of Chessie. We talked about Nessie, now we're on to Chessie. Chessie is similar to the Loch Ness Monster, except it's rumored to live in the Chesapeake Bay near Maryland and Virginia. The Chesapeake Bay is an estuary in the mid-Atlantic region. Unlike Nessie, which lives in a landlocked body of water, Chessie could have come from further out in the ocean. Cryptid enthusiasts say Chessie is like a serpent with flippers. Think of an elongated plesiosaur. The sightings began in 1936 during a military helicopter ride. Those on board claimed they saw something reptilian and unknown. It wasn't until the 1970s that a whole slew of other sightings happened. The Canadian Nessie. Okanagan Lake has a maximum depth of 761 feet, so anything could be swimming around down there. Ogopogo is a lake monster that lives in this lake located in British Columbia, Canada. The First Nations people were the first ever to see Ogopogo back in the 19th century. However, people did not call it Ogopogo until the 20th century when the monster was alluded to in a music hall song. Some say the story of Ogopogo derived from a beast of Canadian Indian myth called Naitaka. This cryptid would demand travelers offer a live sacrifice to permit safe passage across Lake Okanagan. Selma, Lord of Seljord. Norway's Seljord municipality is located on the southern tip of the country. Here, there is a lake of the same name, famous for the sea serpent that supposedly resides there. The lake measures 8 miles long. Seljord explorers have long sought after Selma, with many expeditions led to prove this creature exists. Many of those missions were headed by Swedish cryptozoologist Jan Ove Sundberg, who has been attempting to find Selma for years and has not yet done so. The Brosno Dragon. You will find Lake Brosno in the European region of Russia, located near the town of Andreapol. It has a depth of 141 feet, sizable enough for a whole dragon to live there. The Brosno Dragon of folklore is also called Brosnya. This monster looks like a dragon and breathes fire like a dragon, yet lives in an aquatic environment. Scientists theorize that the legend stems from a few hypotheses. One involves an alleged volcano that ejects water to the surface. Another states that hydrogen sulfide from the bottom of the lake causes the water to boil, making it seem like a body or head is below the surface. All hail the Otter King. Situated in a cemetery in Ireland is a headstone. Etched onto this headstone is the claim that Davar Ku took the life of a local woman. The narrative dates back to the 17th century to a woman named Brosnya. Her husband heard her screams while she was near a lake. When he found her, she had already passed, though Davar Ku was still at the same scene of the crime. Davar Ku means water hound, though Irish folklore also calls this animal Otter King. Steller's sea ape. Naturalist Georg Wilhelm Steller claimed he found a similar creature to his sea lion in the Shumagan Islands of Alaska. He named this new animal Steller's sea ape. No one else has confirmed its existence. Steller noted this discovery in 1741 after a single 2-hour sighting. Like the sea lion, it inhabits the water and has fins, though the sea ape's tail is more like a shark's. The sea ape has no 4 feet or 4 fins, and gray hair covers its body. Steller dubbed it the Simia marina. Dean Littlepage, a biographer, thinks that what Steller saw was most likely a juvenile northern fur seal, and not a new species. The Champ of Champlain. Between Quebec, Canada, and USA's Vermont and New York is Lake Champlain. It stretches for a length of 125 miles. In Lake Champlain fresh waters is what American folklore calls champ, or champy. This water cryptid is classified as a sea serpent. People have spotted champy for at least the past 300 years. The first European to see champy was French cartographer Samuel de Champlain in 1609. Thanks to its rumored existence, it has drawn in an incredible amount of tourism for the area. There's even a Champ Day every first Saturday of August. Into the bottomless pit. What dwells in a cave known as the Wonder Hole and the bottomless pit? Well, a cryptid, of course. One that is named Grootslang, Afrikaans and Dutch for big snake. Grootslang is often depicted as a monstrous snake that has resemblance to an elephant, too. In the culture of Benin, a country in West Africa, the Grootslang loves collecting gems. If you come across one, it may spare your life if you have jewelry to offer. The human being. In Japanese, ningen means human being. Japanese mythology states that ningens are humanoid life forms that walk the icy surfaces and swim the frigid waters of the Antarctic. Crew members aboard various sea vessels claim to have seen ningen and describe them as having a human shape with white as snow legs, arms, and hands. Other witnesses compare them to be closer to mermaids. In one account, members of a Japanese research ship thought they saw a submarine in the distance. Upon closer inspection, it seemed more like a living thing. thing. Most sightings occur during the nighttime, accounting for why there are not a lot of clear photos of these cryptids. Before we get to number 1, we've got a question to ask you. What cryptid do you believe is real? Is there one you would totally try hunting down? Let us know in the comments below. 1. Loch Ness cousin? First Nessie, then Chessie. Now get ready for Bessie. Lake Erie is the 4th largest lake of North America's 5 Great Lakes. It reaches 210 feet deep, which means plenty of room for a brute of a creature. Sometimes called South Bay Bessie, this cryptid was first spotted in 1793. Since then, more and more people have supposedly caught a glimpse of it. People describe Bessie to be 30 or 40 feet long and at least a foot in diameter. Len Tiemann sculpted a statue of what Bessie reportedly looks like and named it Lemmy. The nickname comes from the first letters of the phrase Lake Erie Monster. Lemmy can be seen from the bridge of the Huron River.